And in that pause, there's something indescribable, a sense of connection, of wonder, of being part of something much larger than yourself. The same thing happens in moments of deep emotion. When you're overwhelmed with sadness, your breath becomes heavy, as if the act of breathing itself is too much to carry. When you're filled with joy, your breath becomes light and quick, as if it's trying to keep up with your racing heart. The breath doesn't just respond to your emotions, it amplifies them. It brings them into focus. And when you learn to work with your breath, you're not just learning to control your body, you're learning to navigate the full spectrum of what it means to be alive. There's a practice in some traditions where you simply sit and watch your breath without trying to change it. You don't force it to be deeper or slower. You just let it happen exactly as it is. And in that practice, there's a kind of freedom. You begin to notice things you've never noticed before: the way your chest rises and falls, the subtle sound of air moving in and out, the quiet pauses between each inhale and exhale. And as you sit there, something happens. The breath shifts from being something you're doing to something that's doing you. It becomes less about effort and more about allowing. And in that allowing, you find a kind of peace that you can't get from anything else. But here's the thing: the breath isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's jagged, uneven, uncomfortable, and that's okay. The breath doesn't pretend to be perfect, and neither should you. It shows you what's really happening inside of you, without judgment, without shame. It's honest. And in that honesty, there's a kind of wisdom. The breath teaches you that it's okay to feel everything, to feel messy, to feel broken, to feel alive. It doesn't ask you to fix anything. It just asks you to notice. At some point, every breath you take will lead to your very last one. That's the reality of being alive. But instead of seeing that as something to fear, what if it's something to honor? Every breath is a gift, not because it lasts forever, but because it doesn't. You don't know how many breaths you'll get. None of us do. And that's what makes each one so precious. So here's a thought to hold on to: if your breath is always with you, always connecting you to the present, always offering you a way to let go and take in, what would happen if you made it your guide, not just in moments of peace, but in moments of chaos, of uncertainty, of fear? What would happen if you let your breath lead you into the unknown, not as something to control, but as something to trust? There's something about the breath that goes beyond explanation. It's not just air moving in and out of your body. It feels like there's a quality to it, something alive, something more than just a physical process. When you start paying attention to it, really paying attention, it reveals things about you that you might not even realize. It's like a silent observer that's been with you since the beginning, watching your life unfold, reflecting everything back to you without words. This is where it gets interesting. As simple as the act of breathing seems, it has layers. On the surface, it's about survival, oxygen for the body, energy for the cells. But then there's another layer: the way the breath changes depending on what's happening inside you. It carries more than just air. It carries your emotions, your thoughts, your state of being. If you've ever had a moment where you suddenly realized you were holding your breath, you know what I mean. The breath doesn't lie. It shows you exactly where you are, even when your mind is trying to convince you otherwise. What happens when we stop trying to control everything and let the breath lead? Imagine you're sitting quietly, and instead of focusing on your thoughts or your plans or your worries, you just notice the natural rhythm of your breathing. Maybe it's slow, maybe it's fast, maybe it feels uneven. That's okay. Instead of trying to force it into some ideal pattern, you just let it be. And as you do, you start to notice something strange. The breath begins to soften on its own. It slows down, deepens, and becomes more steady. It's as if your body knows exactly what to do, if only you'd let it. This is where the unseen comes into play. When the breath slows down, so does the mind. And when the mind slows down, something else starts to happen. You begin to notice things you didn't notice before: the feeling of the ground beneath you, the faint sound of the wind, the subtle beating of your heart. But it's not just about noticing the external world. It's about noticing what's within. There's a kind of clarity that comes when the noise quiets down, a kind of stillness that feels more alive than any amount of busyness or distraction. And it all starts with something as simple as your breath. What's fascinating is how the breath connects to everything else in your body. When you breathe deeply, your nervous system responds. Your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, your mind becomes less reactive. It's not magic, it's biology. But it feels like magic because it's so immediate. One moment, you're tense, overwhelmed, scattered. The next, after just a few breaths, everything feels different. The situation hasn't changed, but your relationship to it has. It's as if the breath acts as a reset button for your entire system. But this isn't just about feeling calm. The breath can also take you into places that are uncomfortable, places you'd rather avoid. If you've ever tried to sit still and focus on your breathing, you've probably noticed how quickly your mind starts to resist. Thoughts come rushing in: things you need to do, things you're worried about, things you'd rather not think about. It's almost like your mind is afraid of the stillness, afraid of what might come up if you stop distracting yourself. And that's exactly why the breath is so powerful. It doesn't let you run away. It brings you face to face with whatever is inside you, whether it's pleasant or not. This might sound difficult, but it's also freeing. Because when you breathe through those moments, when you don't fight them or run from them, you realize something important. The discomfort doesn't last. It rises, it peaks, and then it fades, just like the breath itself. And in its place, there's a sense of space, of ease, of clarity. It's not about getting rid of what you're feeling, it's about making room for it. The breath teaches you that you don't have to be afraid of what's inside you. You can face it, feel it, and let it move through you, just like the air moving in and out of your lungs. There's also a kind of mystery to the breath that's hard to put into words. Think about it: you can measure your breathing, analyze it, even control it to some extent. But where does the impulse to breathe come from in the first place? Why does your body know to take that next breath, even when you're not thinking about it? It's as if the breath has its own intelligence, its own wisdom. And when you tune into it, you're tuning into something much larger than yourself. Some people describe the breath as a kind of doorway. Not a physical doorway, but a way of accessing something deeper, something that goes beyond the mind and the body. When you breathe with awareness, you start to feel a sense of connection, not just to yourself, but to everything around you. It's not something you can explain or prove. It's something you feel. It's like the boundary between you and the world starts to dissolve, and what's left is just presence, stillness, awareness. If you've ever experienced this, even for a moment, you know how powerful it is. It's not about escaping or transcending your life. It's about fully inhabiting it, fully experiencing it, with all its messiness and beauty and uncertainty. The breath doesn't take you anywhere else. It brings you right here, to this exact moment, with all its imperfections and all its possibilities. And yet, For something so simple, the breath is endlessly mysterious. You can spend your whole life exploring it and still not reach the bottom of its depth. Every culture, every tradition, every person has their own way of working with it, their own way of understanding it. But no matter how you approach it, the breath always leads you back to the same place yourself. Not the version of you that's tangled up in roles and identities and expectations, but the you that's simply here breathing alive. Think about the fact that your first act in this world was to inhale, and your last act will be to exhale. Everything in between, every thought, every experience, every moment happens within that span of breath. It's not just something you do, it's something you are. And when you begin to see it that way, the ordinary act of breathing becomes extraordinary. It becomes sacred. So the question isn't whether the breath is powerful. It's whether you're willing to see it for what it really is. Are you willing to let it show you what's already inside you? Are you willing to let it guide you, not to somewhere else, but to the place you've always been? If you strip everything else away, your thoughts, your emotions, your plans, your ideas about who you are, what's left? It's the breath. It's always been there, steady and quiet, moving in and out, like the tide of an unseen ocean. And yet, we rarely think about it until something forces us to. Maybe it's an illness that makes breathing difficult. Maybe it's a moment of fear, where the breath catches in your throat. Or maybe it's just the sudden awareness of its absence, like when you hold it for too long and feel that primal urge to take the next inhale. The breath is so constant, so reliable, that it's easy to forget it's also fragile. This is what makes the breath so powerful. It's not permanent, and it's not guaranteed. Each one is a gift, given and taken without any promises. And yet, in its rhythm, there's a kind of truth that's hard to ignore. Life itself is built on this rhythm: the inhale, the exhale, the constant cycle of taking in and letting go. If you look closely, you'll see this rhythm everywhere. Day turns into night, and night into day. The seasons come and go. People enter your life, and people leave. Nothing stays, not even the breath. And yet, it's within this impermanence that we find the essence of what it means to be alive. Think about the moment between the inhale and the exhale, the pause where nothing seems to be happening. It's so subtle that most of us don't even notice it, but in that pause there's something profound. It's a moment of stillness, a moment where the cycle briefly stops before beginning again. That pause is a mirror of life itself. Everything we experience, joy, pain, love, loss, exists within the rhythm of beginning and ending. And just like the breath, there's always that moment of stillness in between, where everything feels suspended. It's not empty, it's full of possibility. When you breathe, you're not just keeping your body alive. You're participating in the same rhythm that moves through everything. The breath isn't separate from life, it is life. And when you start to really feel that, something shifts. You begin to see how interconnected everything is. The air you're breathing now isn't just yours. It's been shared over and over again by every living thing. It's moved through forests, across oceans, through the lungs of countless creatures. It's been part of storms, carried seeds, cooled the earth. Every breath you take is a continuation of something much larger than you. But the breath also carries a kind of inevitability. No matter how deeply you inhale, you can't hold on to it forever. The exhale always comes, and no matter how much you exhale, the inhale always follows. This is the rhythm of existence, and it's not something you can control. You can try to hold your breath, but eventually the body takes over. It knows what you need, even if your mind resists. The same is true for life. You can try to hold on to what you love, to avoid what you fear, but the rhythm keeps moving. Things come and go, whether you want them to or not. The breath teaches you this truth in the most direct way possible. If you've ever watched someone take their last breath, you know how profound this rhythm can be. There's something about that final exhale that feels both devastating and natural, like the closing of a chapter that was always meant to end. And yet, even in that ending, the breath doesn't stop. It continues in the people around them, in the trees outside, in the wind that carries the scent of the earth. The breath doesn't belong to any one person, and it doesn't end with any one life. It's part of something much bigger, something that keeps moving, even when we don't. You are here right now, watching this video, breathing. But stop for a moment. Have you ever truly felt your breath? I'm not just talking about knowing that you're breathing, but actually tuning into it, becoming one with it, as if your entire existence could fit into the single fleeting moment when air enters your body. Let me tell you this: your breath is not just a function of survival. It is not just oxygen keeping you alive. It is a secret doorway to the infinite. It's the cheapest, yet most profound spiritual tool you'll ever have access to. Let's think about this together. Why would something so simple, something we all do 20,000 times a day, hold the key to the deepest truths about life, about ourselves, and about the universe? This isn't some abstract or mystical idea. It's real, it's logical, and it's accessible to everyone, no matter who you are, where you're from, or what you believe in. You don't need money, status, or even experience. All you need is here, now, in this very second.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
When you breathe, you're not just filling your lungs. You're connecting to something far greater, something ancient, something eternal. You are participating in a rhythm that has existed since the dawn of life itself. Every breath you take is like a whisper from the cosmos, reminding you that you are alive, that you are here, and that you are connected to everything around you. And yet, how often do we ignore it? How often do we ignore it? How often do we take it for granted? Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you truly noticed your breath? Think about it. Was it during a moment of stress when your heart was racing and your chest felt tight? Was it during a moment of calm when you felt peace wash over you? Or was it never? For most of us, the answer is never. Felt that we live our tug inside your soul, that subtle yet profound feeling that something is shifting, that life as you know it is on the brink of transformation. It's not always loud. In fact, it usually begins with a whisper, an unexplainable sense of knowing. You might not recognize it at first, but this is the universe nudging you, pulling you towards something greater. You are about to enter quantum leaping mode. Quantum leaping is not just a concept. It's a state of being, a rapid acceleration of your spiritual evolution, where the boundaries of time, space, and limitation dissolve. It's when your energy aligns so powerfully with your highest potential that reality itself seems to bend in your favor. But before this leap can happen, the signs begin to appear. The question is, will you notice them? Will you trust them? And most importantly, will you embrace the unknown?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Let's start with the first sign your internal compass, your intuition, begins to sharpen. Have you noticed how lately you just know things without knowing how? Perhaps you're walking down the street and you feel an unexplainable pull to turn left instead of right, only to discover something extraordinary waiting for you. Or maybe you've had dreams or flashes of insight that feel more real than reality itself. This is your soul speaking to you, louder than ever before. The noise of the external world starts to fade, and your inner world takes center stage. But here's the catch: will you trust it? Will you act on it, even when it defies logic? You might feel scared. That's normal. Fear always arises when we're standing at the edge of transformation. But fear is not the enemy, it's a signpost. It's the universe saying, you're getting close. And when you feel that fear, I want you to ask yourself a question: what am I truly afraid of losing? Often it's not what you think. It's not the job, the relationship, or the familiar routines. It's the comfort of your old identity. The truth is, before you can quantum leap into a new reality, you must shed the outdated version of yourself. And that process can feel like a death. But remember, every death is also a rebirth. As you begin to recognize this shift within, something remarkable starts to happen in your external world. You begin to notice synchronicities, those strange, meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. Maybe you keep seeing the same number, like 1111, every time you glance at the clock. Or maybe a book falls off a shelf, and when you open it, the exact words you needed to hear jump off the page. These are not accidents. They are cosmic breadcrumbs guiding you toward your next step. Here's the deeper truth: these synchronicities are not coming from outside of you. They are reflections of your own energy field. They are proof that your thoughts, your emotions, your vibration are aligning with a higher frequency. But synchronicities are only the beginning. As you move deeper into this process, you might notice that your emotions become more intense, more raw. One moment, you feel euphoric, as though you're walking on air. The next, you're plunged into what feels like the depths of despair. This is not a sign that something is going wrong. Quite the opposite. It means that you're clearing out the emotional baggage that has been weighing you down for years, maybe even lifetimes. Think of it as a spiritual detox. You're releasing what no longer serves you to make room for the new. I want you to sit with this for a moment. What emotions are you holding on to that no longer align with the person you're becoming? Is it resentment? Fear? Shame? These emotions are not bad, they're just energy. And energy needs to move. So when the waves of emotion come, don't resist them. Feel them fully. Cry if you need to. Scream if you need to. But don't hold on. Let them flow through you, like a river washing away the old to reveal the sparkling clarity of your true self. The first stage of quantum leaping is messy. It's chaotic. It's like standing in the middle of a storm, unsure of which way to turn. But here's the secret: the storm is not here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you. The chaos is the signal that your old reality is crumbling and a new one is waiting to be born. The question is, will you trust yourself enough to step into the unknown? As the storm of transformation begins to settle, something extraordinary happens. You start to see the world differently. It's as though a veil has been lifted, and for the first time you realize that life isn't happening to you, it's happening through you. The universe becomes a mirror, reflecting back the energy you carry within. And those synchronicities? They're not just random signs, they're feedback from the cosmos, confirming that you're in alignment with your higher self. But let's go deeper. Have you ever stopped to wonder why certain synchronicities appear at specific moments? Why you might think of an old friend and suddenly they call you out of the blue? Or why, just when you're feeling stuck, an opportunity seems to arrive as if by magic? These moments aren't coincidences. They're the result of your vibration shifting. You see, your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs emit a frequency of vibration that interacts with the quantum field of infinite possibilities. When your vibration rises, the universe rearranges itself to match the energy you're putting out. So here's the big question: what vibration are you broadcasting right now? If you're holding onto self-doubt, fear, or a sense of lack, the universe will reflect that back to you through experiences and relationships that mirror those energies. But if you begin to cultivate feelings of gratitude, love, and trust even before the external evidence shows up, you'll start to attract opportunities, people, and synchronicities that resonate with that higher frequency. It's not magic, it's quantum physics. This is where quantum leaping begins to take shape. You're no longer playing by the old rules of reality, where things happen linearly, step by step. Instead, you're tapping into the realm of infinite potential, where shifts can happen instantaneously. But here's the key to leap into a new reality. You must embody that reality before it shows up. You must act, think, and feel as though your dream life is already here. The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to who you are being. Let me ask you something: who would you be if you already had everything you've ever desired? How would you carry yourself? How would you feel when you woke up in the morning? What decisions would you make? And what fears would you leave behind? The moment you begin to embody that version of yourself, you create a vibrational match with the reality you're calling in. And that's when the leap happens. But there's a paradox here that we must address. While you're aligning with your desires, you'll also be called to surrender. Yes, surrender. Because no matter how much you visualize or affirm, the universe has its own divine timing. Sometimes the things you're manifesting don't show up right away, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're being prepared. There are lessons to learn, wounds to heal, and old patterns to release before you can fully step into your new reality. This is where trust comes in. Can you hold the vibration of your dreams even when the evidence hasn't yet appeared? Can you trust that the universe is conspiring in your favor even when the path feels unclear? And let's not forget the role of action. Quantum leaping isn't about sitting on the couch and waiting for miracles to happen. It's about taking inspired action, those intuitive nudges that guide you toward your next step. Maybe it's reaching out to a mentor, saying yes to an unexpected opportunity, or even letting go of something that no longer serves you. These actions might not always make sense to your logical mind, but they're aligned with the energy of your higher self. And when you act on them, you send a powerful signal to the universe that you're ready for the leap. Now, let's talk about the shifts in your relationships. As your vibration rises, you'll notice that some relationships begin to change or even fall away. This can be one of the most challenging aspects of quantum leaping. People who once felt like kindred spirits might now feel out of sync with your energy. Conversations that used to excite you might feel draining. It's not that these people are bad or wrong. It's simply that your vibration is no longer aligned. And as painful as it may be, Letting go of these connections creates space for new, more aligned relationships to enter your life. But here's the part that most people miss: the relationships that shift aren't just external. They're internal too. The way you relate to yourself changes. You begin to notice the limiting beliefs that have kept you small, the inner critic that tells you you're not good enough, the fear that whispers, "What if I fail?" And as you become aware of these patterns, you're given a choice. Will you continue to let them define you, or will you choose a new story? This is where the real work of quantum leaping happens, not in the external world, but within. Every time you choose to release an old belief, every time you forgive yourself or someone else, every time you act in alignment with your highest self, you're collapsing old timelines and opening the door to a new reality. And as you do this inner work, the outer world begins to shift in ways that feel almost miraculous. But let me ask you something deeply personal. What story about yourself are you ready to let go of? Maybe it's the story that you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. Or maybe it's the story that life is a struggle, that good things only happen to other people. Whatever it is, I want you to know this: that story is not who you are. It's just a program, a pattern that you've carried for too long. And the moment you decide to release it, you free yourself to step into a new reality. As we move deeper into this process, you'll notice that your priorities begin to change. The things that used to matter, status, possessions, external validation, start to feel hollow. Instead, you're drawn toward experiences that nourish your soul, relationships that uplift you, and work that feels like a true expression of your purpose. This is not a coincidence. It's a sign that you're aligning with your authentic self. And here's the most beautiful part: as you align with your purpose, you become a magnet for abundance. Opportunities, resources, and connections start to flow into your life with ease. It's as though the universe is saying, "Finally, you're ready." But this abundance isn't just for you. It's meant to be shared. Because when you step into your purpose, you're not just transforming your own life, you're contributing to the collective awakening. Your light becomes a beacon for others, showing them what's possible. So here's the deeper question: what gift do you have to offer the world? It doesn't have to be grand or flashy. It could be your kindness, your creativity, your ability to listen deeply. Whatever it is, know that it's enough. And as you share your gift, you'll find that the universe supports you in ways you never imagined. Now we arrive at the pivotal moment. Everything we've explored so far, the heightened intuition, the synchronicities, the emotional intensity, the shifts in relationships, the shedding of old beliefs, has been preparing you for this. You're standing at the edge of the quantum leap, and the question is no longer, "Is this possible?" The question is, "Am I willing to let go of everything I thought I knew to step into the unknown?" This is where trust and surrender become your greatest allies. And yet, they are also the most difficult qualities to embody, because surrender requires you to release control. It asks you to stop gripping so tightly to your plans, your expectations, and your timelines. It invites you to step into a state of flow, where you allow life to unfold as it's meant to, not as your mind thinks it should. And trust. Trust requires you to believe in something you can't yet see, to know that even when things feel chaotic or uncertain, the universe is always working in your favor. But let's be real, surrender and trust don't come naturally to most of us. We've been conditioned to believe that control equals safety, that if we just plan enough, work hard enough, or push through enough resistance, we can force life to bend to our will. And while there's a place for effort and discipline, the quantum leap isn't something you can force. It's something you allow. It's a state of deep alignment where your actions flow effortlessly from your intuition, and the results seem almost magical. So let me ask you, where in your life are you still trying to force outcomes? Maybe it's in your career, where you're clinging to a job or a path that no longer resonates. Maybe it's in a relationship, where you're trying to make someone fit into a role they were never meant to play. Or maybe it's within yourself, where you're holding on to an outdated vision of who you're supposed to be, even though your soul is calling you to expand. Whatever it is, I invite you to consider this: what if letting go is the very thing that will propel you forward? Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means releasing your attachment to how things should be so that you can open yourself to how they're meant to be. It's about trusting that the universe has a plan for you that's far greater than anything your mind could conceive.
You weren't supposed to make it this far. The odds stacked, the system rigged, the game designed to break you. But here you are, still breathing, still moving, still rising. That's no accident. That's no coincidence. Somewhere along the way, something intervened. The car crash that should have ended you, but didn't. The fight you weren't supposed to walk away from, but did. The illness doctors had no answers for, but you survived. The night you should have never woken up from, but you did. You felt it, didn't you? That shift, that pause in time, that moment where everything should have gone dark, but instead, the universe stepped in. You were supposed to be a memory, a name spoken in past tense, but instead you became a problem. Because those who survive the impossible, they don't just exist. They change everything, and people feel it. They whisper, they stare, they act like they don't see it, but they do. They know you move different. They know you see things before they happen. They know nothing, not odds, not rules, not even death, can keep you where you don't belong. Because you don't just survive, you defy. And those who defy, they rewrite the whole damn game. And now, all eyes are on you, because they want to know, how many more times can you escape? How many more ways can you win? How long before you break the system that was never meant to hold you? If you know, you know. Before you took your first breath, your name was already known, not by the world, not by history books, but by something older, something that don't speak in words but in bloodlines. You ever wonder why you move different? Why struggle hits but never holds you? Why you've been knocked down but never knocked out? It's because you weren't born randomly. You were placed, planted, like a seed in the darkest soil, destined to grow into something unstoppable. Your ancestors you don't remember paid prices you never saw, left messages in your DNA, your instincts, your fire, your will. You carry their unfinished work, their resilience, their power. That's why you feel it, that pull, that tension, that knowing, that unshakable sense that you were meant for something more. And that's why the world reacts to you the way it does. Some people fear you. Some people try to break you. Some people pretend they don't see you. But deep down, they know. Because a force like yours, it don't go unnoticed. It don't stay small. It don't stay silent. You weren't just born, you were sent. And now, it's time to remember why. The street don't lie, it just speaks in riddles. And the word is, you weren't supposed to be here. They counted you out, wrote your name in past tense, spoke about you like you were already gone. But then, you got back up. You ever notice how people look at you a little too long? How they hesitate before saying your name? How some don't even want to stand too close. It's because they know what they saw, or at least what they thought they saw. You were finished, done, a memory. But somehow, someway, you walked back in the room. A crash that should have ended you, a bullet that missed by a fraction, a sickness that had no cure, a night that should have been your last. But here you are, unshaken, unexplained. You ever heard the stories? The ones about people who were declared dead only to wake up days later? People whose bodies refuse to surrender, whose spirits won't stay down. People who defy every rule written in science, logic, and common sense. Maybe you have, or maybe you are one. They can't explain you. They can't categorize you. So they turn you into myth. Some call it luck. Some call it divine intervention. Some don't call it anything, because even speaking your name feels like tempting fate. But deep down, they all know the truth. You don't just survive. You return over and over. Through the fire, through the storms, through the moments designed to end you. And that makes you something different. Something this world ain't ready for. Because legends don't die. They just wake up. Again, and again, and again. And one day, the world will have to accept that you can't be stopped. You ever locked eyes with someone, just for a second, and knew? No words, no introductions, no explanations. Just a feeling. Like you've seen them before, but not in this lifetime. Like they understand something most people never will. Like they move through this world the same way you do. That's not coincidence. That's recognition. A silent network of those who aren't like the rest. It's been happening forever. Revolutionaries meeting by chance. Strangers finishing each other's thoughts. Survivors sensing each other in a crowded room. Some call it intuition, some call it energy, some call it fate. But the truth is simple. The chosen recognize the chosen. Because how could they not? They've walked the same storms, carried the same burdens, felt the same pull towards something greater. And when they cross paths, something shifts. You ever met someone and felt like you skipped the small talk? Like you were speaking in a language no one else could hear? That's because this network ain't built on words. It's built on frequency, a vibration that can't be faked, a connection that can't be explained. It's in the way you move, the way you recognize something familiar in a stranger's eyes. The world don't notice, but you do. You might not even realize you're a part of it. Not yet, but look around. Pay attention. Next time you feel that spark, that moment of unspoken understanding, know that you're not alone. You never were. You ever just know, before it happens, before the signs, before the proof. A feeling in your chest, a whisper in your mind, something telling you to move different. And when you listen, the road clears, the danger passes, the trap misses its mark. That's not luck, that's not paranoia, that's alignment. You vibrate different, operate on a frequency most people can't hear, see things before they unfold. Some call it a gut feeling, some call it intuition. But the truth? It's an ancient knowing, a built-in warning system for those who move with purpose. You ever switched lanes right before a crash? Walked out of a spot seconds before something went down? Cut off a connection with no proof, just a feeling, and later found out why? That's not accident. That's tuning in. Because when your spirit is locked in, it don't need permission to speak. It don't wait for logic. It don't wait for proof. It just knows. And the ones who ignore it, they learn the hard way. But you've felt it too many times to doubt it now. So don't second guess it. Don't explain it away. Because when your energy shifts, when that feeling creeps up, it's not fear, it's forewarning. And the ones who listen, they survive. Some people blend in. You don't. Even when you try, even when you stay quiet. They still notice, because you carry something different. It lingers in the way you move. It hums beneath your skin. It shifts the air before you even say a word. Maybe it's in your eyes, the way they hold too much for one lifetime. The way they see past what's being said, straight into the truth. Maybe it's on your skin, a birthmark that don't feel random, a scar that healed faster than it should have. Or maybe it's in your presence. How rooms shift when you walk in. How people sense you before you even speak. You ever wondered why strangers stare a little too long? Why people either gravitate toward you or back away without knowing why? It's because you were marked, not by accident, not by chance, but by design, like a barcode scanned by the universe, signaling, this one is different. This one was sent. This one is not like the rest. And the ones who know, they recognize it. They see the signs, the patterns, the energy that don't fit inside this world's blueprint. Some will try to explain you. Some will try to test you. Some will pretend they don't feel what they feel. But you've always known, because normal never fit right on you. Because ordinary was never part of your story. You weren't meant to stay small. You weren't meant to dim your light just to make others comfortable. They may not understand you. They may fear you. But the universe, it already marked you. And now, it's time to own that. Hello, chosen one. Look at your life. Now look at ours. Back at your life. Now back at ours. Sadly, you're not in the obsidian inner order, but you could be. Picture this. Weekly group calls with 450 plus chosen ones, recorded and available anytime for your enlightenment. Our private Discord, it's not just active, it's alive, buzzing with ideas, breakthroughs, and that unstoppable chosen energy. Oh, and for you romantics out there, welcome to Chosen Singles, where soulmates meet under cosmic alignments, not cheap pickup lines. And if that's not enough, Star Chamber members unlock exclusive interviews with bona fide targeted individuals who've faced the darkest trials and survived to tell the tale. Plus, our video specials, too bold, too raw, too spicy for YouTube. This isn't just a community, it's a revolution of soul and spirit. Look at your DMs, now back at me. The link to join, it's in the description. Don't just swipe right on destiny. Claim it. The Obsidian Inner Order. Smell like ascension. Feel like magic. Live like a chosen one. Reality bends for you. You've seen it, felt it, lived it. You think something, and suddenly doors open. You speak it, and somehow the universe rearranges itself. You decide, and what once seemed impossible shifts. That ain't luck. That ain't coincidence. That's understanding. See, most people move through life like reality is solid, fixed. You know better. Reality is fluid for those who know how to swim in its currents. And you don't just swim. You command the waves. Some call it manifestation. Some call it law of attraction. But the truth is, this ain't about belief. It's about alignment. You don't hope for things. You pull them in. You don't wish. You move. And the universe moves with you. You ever thought about someone, and suddenly they call? You ever needed something, and out of nowhere it shows up? You ever seen your thoughts turn into reality so many times that doubt became impossible? That's because you weren't waiting on the world. The world was waiting on you, waiting for you to decide, because the second you do, the second you lock in, the second you say, it's already mine, reality has no choice. It bends. It folds, it shifts, and suddenly, it's real. So what's stopping you now? Comment below. I'm the legend still living. If they wrote your ending, but you kept writing your story. Time moves different for you. You've felt it. Moments that stretched forever, seconds that held entire lifetimes. Other times, whole days disappeared in a blink. You ever been in danger and felt the world slow down, like everything moved? In frames, like your mind had already seen the next move before it happened? That wasn't adrenaline. That was time bending around you, because for some, time ain't a straight line, it's a flexible force. And you've slipped through its cracks more times than you can count. Think back. The car accident that should have happened but didn't. The near miss where the world paused just long enough for you to move. The dream that felt like a warning, then played out exactly as you saw it. That's not random. That's you operating outside the limits most people never even question. You ever met someone and felt like you already knew them? You ever walked into a place and felt like you'd been there before? Deja vu, premonition, time loops. Whatever name they put on it, it all means the same thing. You're not just experiencing time, you're navigating it, moving through it in ways that don't make sense to the world. But the world ain't built for you. You move outside their rules. And those who do, they see what's coming before it even arrives. So next time time slows down, next time you feel the shift, don't ignore it. Because not everyone gets a preview of the future. But you've already seen it. Not everyone can carry what you carry, and you've felt it. The distance, the weight, the quiet moments where the world feels just a little too far away. Because when you're chosen, you walk alone, not because you want to, not because you don't love or connect, but because they don't see what you see. They move through life half awake. You move through it knowing, and that knowing, it separates you. Because when you can feel energy shift before it happens, when you understand things that haven't been said, when your very presence disrupts the norm, you don't just live in the world. You carry it, like a lighthouse standing tall while the storm rages below, guiding others while no one guides you. And that's the part they never tell you about being different. It's not just power, it's responsibility, to lead when no one else can, to stand when others fall, to hold wisdom that can't always be spoken, only understood. Some days you wonder what it would be like to be normal, to move without thinking, to exist without knowing. But deep down, you already know. You were never meant for that life. Because the ones who are sent here for something greater, they don't get to blend in, they don't get to disappear into the crowd, they carry the weight. And they walk forward anyway. They talk about you when you're not there. Whispers, stories, the kind that don't die, only grow. Because people like you. You don't just live, you leave a mark. Your name moves through streets like a riddle. Your presence shifts rooms before you even step inside. And the things you've done, they don't make sense to them. How you survived that, how you made it out, how you keep winning when everything should have taken you down. You ever noticed how the stories about you don't match reality? How people hear a version of you that don't even sound like you? That's because your existence alone challenges their understanding of what's possible. So they do what people always do when faced with the unexplained. They turn you into myth. Some say you're untouchable. Some say you got something watching over you. Some say you got more lives than a cat and more luck than the devil himself. And maybe they're right. Or maybe it was never about luck. Maybe it was always about you, the way you move, the way you think, the way you refuse to play by rules that were never built for you. Legends ain't made in one night. They're built over a lifetime of defiance. And you don't just exist. You make reality bend. That's why they tell stories about you. That's why your name never fades. Because some people live and get forgotten. But the ones who shift the world just by being in it, they become legend. You don't just see the world, you feel it. You move through life with an awareness most people don't even know exists. You read energy before words are spoken. You sense intentions before actions unfold. And sometimes, you see things before they even happen. You ever had a dream that wasn't just a dream? A vision so real it burned into your mind. And then, days, weeks, months later, it happened exactly as you saw it. That's not imagination. That's perception beyond the physical. Most people rely on sight, sound, logic. You know. Before they lie, before they move, before they even decide. You've already read them, because this world ain't just what we see. It's vibration, frequency, layers stacked on top of layers. And you navigate those layers like you were born to. Maybe you thought it was just instinct. Maybe you brushed it off as coincidence. But how many times does something have to happen before you stop doubting it? You knew the call was coming before the phone rang.